FOMC fears. Is today's quarter point rate cut bullish or bearish? Plus price targets on Bitcoin, ETH, SOL, and 10x potential altcoins.
So, all right. Well, hey everybody, it's Brett for this week's M3 Active Trader class here at Moonstream. We're going to talk about the FOMC meeting today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, total market cap, and look at some altcoins, go over the usual, go over some news. And so with that, let's go ahead and dive in. All right. So any questions, you guys can let me know. And I'm going to just cover the bases real quick, and then we'll get into some news. I'm not going to stick around and live stream for the FOMC. I just think this is already priced in. But, you know, I am a little concerned about the significance of all these rate cuts that are likely we're going to be having. And, you know, it's pointing toward they kind of blow off top here, maybe October, November, but we need to be really careful. You know, the bear market is around the corner. That's one thesis. There's another thesis that I'm open to as well, that we have a push higher, and then into the end of the year, we see some kind of a correction, and then Q1 see another push. You know, I'm still wondering if we're going to hit that $200,000 level. It's looking increasingly less likely we can get there here in this last 3 months of the normal cycle, right? So we have our work cut out for us, and just jumping around here a little bit to finish off that point. You know, we have that study we will revisit, and also my new study showing the possible timeline for everything. But you guys have seen this before, the path to 100,000, which we hit, 150,000, which hopefully we're still on track for, and then 200,000. So we'll come back and unpack this a little bit more, but we need this fourth and final angle to hold. I've been slowly moving this to the right. Markets have been moving sideways, and so it's just either extending this timeline out, or we have to be open to that things are kind of running out of steam. And alt season is sort of in question. I think broad-based alt season is really we're going to have to come back to that. But anyway, let's jump out of this. Let's go over and kind of make the rounds on the charts here. We'll talk about M2. We'll talk about some other stuff there. Just taking a look at Bitcoin, down 1,000. People are de-risking ahead of this FOMC meeting. Nothing really to worry about. But in terms of de-risking and selling ahead of the news, probably seeing some of that. I wouldn't read into it too much. We want to see here how the markets react to this FOMC meeting. And let's see, I've got to grab my screen up here, and the chat has disappeared, so let me make sure I have that open for you guys. Okay, but we are in a sell block. We know that these areas are sell resistance zones, so we have to get above this 17,500, and to remain bullish and push higher, you know, it remains to be seen what happens here. And so as much as I want to believe everything is right on track and we're going into this final blow off phase, you know, we have to be open to the fact that maybe, okay, I already have it on there, this downtrending channel, maybe this is actually this. And so we need the markets to show us that sign of strength, get above this 17,500 for this breakout rally to pan out. Now, it's more than likely that it will, because we are in that final phase of the blow off top. We have a rate cut likely today, almost 90%. And we're going to unpack that a little bit more. I'm not sounding the alarm bells immediately, but I am suggesting that, you know, we certainly in the last couple months here, we could see some deep corrections. But let's not get into that, and no need to panic. Right now, we want to stay in the market and see what the market gives us. So I know that's not giving you any specific direction, actionable advice, but that is actually sometimes the best advice is to do nothing and wait and see how the market reacts. So how will the market react to today's FOMC? Probably not very much, unless we get a surprise half-point rate cut. But with that, I'm going to show you that that's very unlikely. Just skimming down through our coins that we're watching, only two are sort of bullish-ish, as Immutable X, which I'd put a buy alert out on recently, and Arrow. Markets are very cautious here, again, going into the FOMC announcement. So with that, why don't we unpack some news? And before we do that, though, I'll just kick this off and show why I think the FOMC, we're going to get a quarter-point rate cut. Guys, it's priced in. Anytime this is over 85 on the FedWatch tool, it's almost assured. It's 96% chance of a quarter point rate hike today. Doesn't look like this website was built in the 2005 era. Yes, so that's government for you. But anyway, point is 96% chance quarter point rate cut today. That's it. 4% chance of a half point. Not going to happen. Not going to happen this time. They're going to ease into this now. October, which would be next month, 75% chance of an additional quarter point rate hike, or rate cut, forgive me. And so that's showing they are going to slowly do this, and that's a good thing actually, because if they came out and did a half point rate cut, that would essentially be admission that this economy is really in danger. Now we have jobless reports that is being revised. Really very, very few jobs were created this summer after the revisions. Economy's not looking so good. And was just watching Camel Finance about his thoughts on recession. Two very different camps, though. We've got Pompliano and his guest Jordy, who's a Wall Street guy, saying there's no chance of a recession. Camel essentially laughing at them, saying that's absurd. We are for sure heading that way. So I'm glad that we don't have consensus. Consensus is dangerous, and we get to kind of figure things out as we go along. But here, showing the December Fed Watch percentages, 68% chance of an additional quarter point rate cut. All of this in line with economy cooling and a bull market over by December. And I shared an image in the Active Trader chat over at in the Signal chat there. Let me move some windows around. So to show you that these are some pretty interesting visuals that I hadn't seen before. New information equals new decisions. So we're going to unpack this together and move that over here. So this shows that bear markets only end after the Fed has cut rates aggressively. So we should be happy that we're not seeing a half point rate cut. Now I'm saying that it's already happened. Anything could happen. Very low percentage that we'd get a half point rate cut today. But and if we did, we'd see an initial big rally. I'm going to cover that scenario. But this is usually what happens after multiple rate cuts. And we can see that in the past. Now this is it's a new world. It's a new economy. We can't really compare it to the 80s, the 2000s, 2008 necessarily. But we are looking at, interesting, I always look for trend lines too, trend line tops. And so if we were to start rate cutting here, and if we were to see 3 in a row, which I guess this shows right in here, typically it's followed by a bear market. And so we have to be aware of that. And the next image I want to show here shows the majority of the banks, or the majority of decline in bear markets occurred after the Fed's pivot. You know, well, if you want to dive into that deeper, go watch the video Camel Finance. He talks about the nuances of if we are in an economic slowdown, that has a determination of it versus whether we're in an economic growth pattern. But here, similarly, Fed on the year 2000, the Fed's pivot, markets down 50%. This is the S&P 500, but essentially same. You know, we could certainly see an anomaly here with risk on assets, but typically people avoid risk as these things are happening, and especially when interest rates start going back up, and the cycle is drop interest rates and then raise them again. So this is big picture stuff, guys. Don't read into it too much, but it's just further evidence we want to be watching, being very careful going into these last 2 months on the bull cycle. 2007, that's of course right before 2008, and we had that big real estate bubble contributing to this. 2019, the Fed pivot had that market correction here. That was the COVID correction, though, so we can't really count that necessarily, except that it did put in an important low on a long-term trend line. So where are we right now? And we have to kind of keep that in mind and see. So these are all some high-level things to park in the back of your mind and not to create any uncertainty or anxiety. The only thing that is certain in these markets is uncertainty. All right, so we'll come back to this. We'll unpack the various coins here that we're watching, look at total market cap, total 2, not seeing anything too scary here. I maintain that we are going to probably drift down a bit and then push up, take out this sell block, and then retest and then go higher, and then going into this October-November range. But I submit to you that, you know, while everyone's expecting November, December as being the top, it is a musical chairs, a game of musical chairs. We want to be thinking kind of pretty seriously about exiting these markets toward the end of October, depending on how markets are reacting. And so with that, let's jump into some news here. And then, by the way, a quick commercial here. If you guys haven't already signed up or gone to find out more about the mastermind we're doing down in Tulum, it is part retreat, part gathering and networking gathering. This is an amazing villa I've stayed at before. Max Wright's going to be there. We have some of our mentoring students going to be there, and there's only so many rooms in the villa here. We do have overflow lodging nearby, and there's hotels. If you want to come down, and Tulum has its own airport. I have a new video that I was up late working on here. This is all done by AI, by the way, from some pictures. So maybe I'll play that for you guys. Looks kind of like me, not exactly, but at least I didn't have to go and fly down there and record all this. But do go over to moonstream.io/mastermind. And you can learn more about that. That'll redirect here, but tells all the details here. It's the only live event, my first crypto live event, and Max Wright's his first event in quite a while. We may be doing more next year in the US. I don't know. If there's a bear market, probably not. But this is an amazing property. We have a chef. You can go read all about that. I don't want to take up our time here for that, but go over to moonstream.io/mastermind because I imagine this will fill out pretty fast. Max and I have a open Q&A today through the mentoring members, and so just a heads up. Okay, with that being said, let's go over to some news. Bitcoin price gaining 8%. Just a reminder that September is generally a down month. We had a down month in August, just small, moderately, and so that could set up September as a green month, but we just don't know. And a lot's going to kind of be decided here on how the markets react to FOMC. I used to get up early morning and prepare for FOMC, et cetera, but whatever the Fed does doesn't matter. It is entirely how the markets react to what they do and what he says. When Powell comes out with his comments and he tries to be very not the opposite of transparent, opaque about his view on the economy, and there are hundreds of people tuning in on his every word to infer what he really means. Is the economy in good shape? Are we in bad shape? Etc. So we'll get to that. But Bitcoin price gains 8% September. Look, we're only halfway through September, but we're already halfway through September, and by the way, this thing is in exactly 30 days. So we're coming up on the wire on this. So you guys come out and support us. We're gonna make sure you guys have a great time and learn a lot. And we have some new technology that I'm going to share with you a glimpse of here that Joe and I have been working on that we're going to make available to everyone who's there as beta. All right, back to the news. So essentially, September 25 is on track for the best in 13 years. That's interesting. So, I mean, typically, it's typically red, but not always, and we could still turn red here in the next 2 weeks. I think October for sure is a huge bull market, and November probably also. I'm going to show you my timeline on that, my new study here. We'll get into that here in a moment, but let's get through that news real quick. All right, so keep jumping around, but I want to kind of give everybody an idea of what we're going to talk about today. All right, Bitcoin's bucking seasonality trends. Seasonality can be a thing. I don't really tune into it because each time is different in many ways. But September would need to see 20% upside to become Bitcoin's strongest ever. This is all speculation. And but let's look at the chart. You guys might have seen this. So typically we have September currently is green. Last year was green though, and the year before was green. Usually it's red in the halving years, 2021 and 2017. And then down here in 2013, but or was it 2014? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. October, always almost always red, or sorry, green. October, as we call it, and November can be kind of a mixed bag. Isn't it interesting that November was down 7% last cycle? And don't we all remember that as a very bullish month? And it was the market cycle high. That's because it started out strong. All right, big sneeze on camera. Beautiful. Where is that mute button? Here it is. So anyway, guys, this we have October to look forward to. In September, not bad though. Look, if we can close here and have that as a green weekly candle, that would be great. And so, it really isn't usually that bad. 2014, we saw a 20% drawdown, but we're past August where we usually see these somewhat bigger drawdowns, 18%, 18%. And of course, what did we have? I want to look at 2021, where June and July, it's so misleading because July 2021, we had a deep correction and out of nowhere, but then it rallied and ended the month high. So this is very misleading. So all of these things, November last year was great, but we need to take it one step at a time and not get too dialed into what happened in the past. Interesting, but and correlative, but not causal. Let's see. Bitcoin stakes are high. Seasonality, historical patterns, demand. Let me go full screen here. Let's see, demand next bull market peak. And other risk assets set repeated all-time highs. That would be historical patterns. Doesn't mean anything. While both gold and S&P are price discovery, Bitcoin has coiled throughout September after setting new highs of its own the 1 month prior. As a reminder, this had nothing to really do with the price of Bitcoin. It had to do with the total market cap hitting $4 trillion. And if you don't know that, we're going to look at that again today. These big round numbers on total market cap are significant. So the top of the 2021 market was exactly when we hit $3 trillion, almost to the dollar. Now that's crazy to say when you're talking about trillions of dollars, but I'll show you on the chart. And in my opinion, triggered programmatic selling. Similarly, we got up to $4 trillion a couple weeks ago, last month, when Bitcoin hit 124K, and that was when everything sold off. So, similarly, 1 trillion, 2 trillion have acted as support on the way back up. So we want to be watching those big round numbers and paying attention. So, all right, let's see. Even at 8%, currently is enough to make September's performance currently enough to make it big. So this is all, useless speculation at this point. We're only halfway through the month. All right, only time, I think this is probably kind of useless trivia if you want to know my opinion. So let's not spend too much time on this. Bitcoin pricing, what's coming, 5 things to know. I'll open that. We'll skim these as usual. I want to get an overall feel for what if there is consensus, because consensus I usually am contrarian against. And but there's some useful information in all of these. We're just not going to read through all of them. We'll do more of that tomorrow in Retire Rich class. And so anyway, by the way, Mike is going to something in Nashville he's been invited to called Bitcoin Park. I'll be running the Retire Rich class tomorrow, so we'll dive into some more news and unpack the FOMC decision, okay? All right, volatility levels dropping to levels not seen in over a decade, with particularly sharp drop from April. And, so that's interesting. Volatility, if you have been investing for any length of time, the VIX or the volatility index will usually get really, really quiet and then spike. So that could certainly be happening, and but we can't read into it too far. And then on-chain metrics, Glassnode, I really don't get into this stuff too much because it's lagging. It's interesting, but it's almost it's also information overload, and I'm trying to do that and chart and news and on-chain metrics. You guys prove me wrong. But I've gone head to head with one of the top on-chain metrics guys in the world, and frankly embarrassed him back at the 2021 conference and a whale session. So anyway, no need to name names. Dylan Leclerc. So anyway, these for 80%, so blah, 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 price drawdowns, etc. Okay, we're done with that. Let's go to the next article. Bitcoin pricing and what's coming. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. Again, we're going to skim these. Bitcoin headed into the Fed interest rate cuts with analysis as bullish. And seeing a mild pullback here, de-risking. It's what hedge fund managers do. They are risk managers. And what we're really looking for, though, and waiting for, I'll just open this up. And the path to altcoin season is somewhere in progress, right? But I think we don't really see this kick off until maybe going into last weeks of September and October. By the way, you just saw a thing pop up for malware bites. Guys, please be checking your computers for malware. I have a private client that just messaged me, and we have one of the things I do in my mentoring and coaching is create an optimized portfolio for my clients, and it's shared only with that person. and one email address through a Google share. But he's had some concerning outreach by dubious exchange representatives. I'm being careful not to give any personal information, but let's just say a major exchange calling to help him unlock the exact amount of Bitcoin that he had. So, you know, one way, and he was asking me, are these secure? The answer is yes, they're secure, but if someone has access to your Google email account, if you have malware on your computer, people could be accessing your Gmail and therefore accessing sensitive data like that. I recommend Proton Mail as your email address for your trading exchanges. I have no affiliation with them, but they're highly secure. And having a different email than all of your other stuff, different email, different passwords, because many people's data is on the dark web. All these breaches, they're getting your username, email, and I'm almost done, but this is important because let's be honest, and I'm talking to you individually because you know this is true. You very likely use the same email and the same password for 90% of whatever you guys use. Don't do that for your exchanges, because if any one of these other companies gets hacked, they're without a doubt trying those user passwords and trying to get into your various accounts. So anyway, always kind of warning people, especially going into the bull, the scams go higher and increase. Be very, very careful. We've had a few people affected by that, and so anyway, be warned. But don't panic. Just be careful. Different email, different password. Got it? Okay. Path to alt season. We know this. We've seen this before. Money flows into Bitcoin. We saw that push into 124K Bitcoin, and then it pulled back. Money started to flow into Ethereum. Ethereum's taken a breather here, starting to see some money flowing out of Ethereum into other layer ones, and like Solana. And soon we'll start seeing altcoins. I'm going to avoid saying alt season. I saw a heated, semi-heated clip by two people on stage this morning where essentially she was saying, look, it's over. Altcoin season's done. The pump fund, meme coin mania drained all of that money that would normally go into altcoins. And he was debating. Now, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think we'll see a broad-based alt season, at least not to the extent people are expecting or remembering. But anyway, we're looking for this rotation, and we're going to be looking to get our seat before the music stops. But the reality is, so is everyone else. So we've got to be a little bit ahead of that herd. I'll give you specific suggestions what I'm going to be talking about in a moment using our buy order and sell order blocks. All right, so stick around. Bitcoin bulls clear resistance at 117K, which I showed in the chart a moment ago. That is the top of that sell block where we have visualized. Let me just go back where we visualized where the sellers are with our technology, and these are where basically these traders and anyone on the order books, this is the overall index, but we can see in aggregate sellers are concentrated. These are limit sell orders on the order books between 116,500 and up here at 124,000. Now in the near term, let me go to an actual exchange because we'll get closer data, right? So that was that overall index. So also be careful what you're watching at when looking at. Sometimes the data will be slightly different. So this is Binance showing that the resistance is up in that 120,000 range. But sometimes on these different time frames, if you drop down to a 12-hour, we can see a little bit more current information. Now, I do have some updates on why these are different, why these might be different. The candle, the period, this is a daily period. There's 7 hours left in this candle, and this may not have enough sellers on a longer time frame to show up here. If we drop to a 12-hour, we can see that they're concentrated in here. So we have sellers in this $114,000 range, 114.5 all the way up to 117,627 to be exact. We need to see that break. And actually, let me put an alert on that just so we know when that's taken out. But of course, we want to make sure that's on a closing basis. If we drop down to a 4-hour, we can also see, look at all the sales pressure on Bitcoin, everyone. I would not be buying Bitcoin here. I wouldn't necessarily be dropping or dumping it, but this is becoming key resistance, both on the 4-hour and that 12-hour, and then I would imagine at the end of the day we start to see a sell block appear in there. So also on the total market cap, we can see that just above. If we were to go to a 12-hour, it doesn't change much there. That's factoring in all of this. I think on total market cap, though, we pull back to this 21-day EMA, maybe down to the 50. We could see this much of a drawdown, and I'm going to come back to this, and we'll unpack it a little more, but our signals are starting to roll over there on the shorter term. The weekly's not bad, I think, so a multi-day pullback would not be a bad thing. All right, so let's come back to that. All right, I'm gonna have to jump out here. Ignore that right now. For now, let's see. So we've covered that. We're still going through the news. All eyes are on the Fed as markets unanimously expect the first interest rate cuts. And by the way, guys, where's the chat here? If you guys do you guys have any questions? No questions. All right. Trying to get through it quickly because I want to get to the charts and give you actionable advice on what to do today, depending on what happens in the markets. So let's see. All eyes are on the Fed. Unanimously expect first interest rate cut. All right. I can't imagine that they won't. And again, that's been priced in probably since last week when we had that big rally and we're seeing some profit taking. Going into the FOMC, I had been saying it would be a sell the news event. We're kind of starting to see that. Let's see. Binance. Let me see. Historically accurate forecasting tool, fresh all-time demands. Let's see. I'm not sure this is very big. We'll unpack that. Binance order book data hints large buyers were active over the weekend. Not sure what they're seeing there. We didn't see that. Institutional demand was 9 times the mined Bitcoin supply. So, so more demand than supply, usually bullish. Let's look at this, and I'm going to skim for the important stuff. We've covered that. And now this also true. If Bitcoin fails to reclaim, newer highs, we could see another correction down in here. I will pull up a kind of a cheat sheet roadmap for that. And if we look at the liquidation heat map, and I think that's, there's a couple places this is, so I have to grab the right one. Is it CoinGlass liquidations heat map? There it is. This can be a magnet toward price, and I'll usually look at it. Right, so we don't want to do 24 hours necessarily, but we can. Here's where price was dragged to. You see this level here, right around 115,000. Let's go back in time, right around. Let's see. Was this an hourly chart? Hang on a second, you guys. This is 24 hours. So basically, these areas that are highlighted, these are liquidation levels from margin traders, and they act as magnets for the market makers who try to get liquidity to fill more orders. So it becomes a magnet, and see how price went down into this range of 115,000 where it is now, and to liquidate these traders. And so what I would suggest, though, is we push higher up here to 117,850 and break out of that sell block, because there's the max pain here is to push higher and liquidate these shorts up in this range. Okay, so one thing we can do, this is a bit much for most of you, so just understanding it at a fundamental level, that's okay. You don't need to really grasp it fully. But we can see on a larger time frame, this also pulled down, liquidated these traders, and now the magnet is to the upside. And I believe that's what that article was referring to. So if we go back, and I don't want to get too far into liquidations. This is, if you don't know what that means, go to Perplexity AI and look it up. Essentially, it's people borrowing on margin. When price goes against them, they get their entire positions liquidated. It's called fun and games for the market maker. It's not fun and games if you're on the other side of a liquidation event. Yeah. Oh, and here's the chart. Okay, so here's what I just showed you guys. Data from CoinGlass shows large block of ask liquidity on the exchange, and immediately above that's ask is you have a bid and an ask. If you are bidding, you're buying. And if you're asking, you're selling. Okay, so I won't go into that, but here's the chart we just looked at. We've taken out these liquidations here. Probably pushes us higher on Bitcoin, actually. I know we all want to think that it's all about Michael Saylor and believing in the ecosystem. That's for your long term, yes. in the near term, these wiggle room moves and volatility it's a different game. Okay, that's why day trading is very dangerous. Why margin trading is very dangerous. You have to understand these larger forces that can move markets, and because they can, and because they make a lot of money doing that. Okay. All right, let's see. Just skimming some more of this news. Fed rate cut dominates. We already looked at this. So, you know, guys, I could have written this article. I have to figure out how to get to be one of these authors, because half the time I'm already putting stuff out that I don't know who these people are. William Suberg. I have no idea how they get on here. A lot of them are freelance. So anyway, let's Fed rate talk dominates. Gold and Bitcoin have known this straight line higher price. Yeah, I mean, there's also a study that not only does the M2 money supply lead Bitcoin, but so does gold. And gold's been on a tear. So, and this is what this chart kind of shows here. So we have to be kind of ready. We need to be ready for that push higher in the near term. I will talk about not FOMC, the global M2 here. We're going to get to that, but it's been diverging quite a bit. So not sure what's happening there. I have my theories. Should get back on track though. All right. I just kind of hear you guys saying, all right, get on with it. And Dan saying, do you need to pay for an account on CoinGlass? No, Dan, that's all free. And if you want, I can give you guys the link for that. And I've got all these places bookmarked. And as you can see, liquidation heat map. There it is, and if you guys want it, I put it in the chat. They also have one that shows, let's see, resources, CoinGlass, liquidations, liquidation history. Yeah, we got it. So, and you know, there's a bazillion of these things out there. I try not to show you guys too much, but this also shows the recent liquidations. And, you know, there are times when we have huge extremes, and that kind of resets all the leverage in the market, and those usually are good. How do I want to say this? Flushing out leverage in the markets is generally a good thing, because then we get a true feel for where the market wants to go. But look at how much extra liquidations we've had since basically, I want to say, since the inauguration, right? So massive bets. This is really it, November 5th, exactly, when all of these leverage traders, because that's when the volatility came back, you know, and price started to surge. So anyway, if you guys want that link, I'll drop it in the chat as well, or you can look it up on the Google machine. All right, ask Dr. Google. Actually, you know, I'm using Google a lot less lately. Perplexity is just such better technology. And did you hear that Perplexity tried to buy the Chrome browser from Google? I think that was a PR stunt. I mean, obviously Google's not selling, but yeah, Perplexity's got a great platform. So anyway, we have covered most of this, and ETH Polkadot co-founder wasn't in Time Magazine. Is that Gavin Wood or the other guy? Let's see. Bitfinex analyst, long-term holders. Just we've covered this. All right, moving right along. I want to get through the news. And where are we? We are on that one. Wait, we somehow jumped to a different article. Analysts divided over Fed reaction. Fundstrat co-founder Tom Lee has been in the news, the biggest ETH holder, creating his own ETH strategic reserve. And he's saying reducing rates for the first time as a potential catalyst. So I think this first rate cut, certainly we could get a sell-off and then a pump. It's when they start dropping rates multiple times, and those were the charts I showed you earlier in today's session, and that sort of falls in line with October, November time to, you know, if we start hitting our sell blocks and we see those really fast run-ups. Remember when we hit 124K? Part of that was a short squeeze, but when we see those kind of moves, we have to be selling into those, okay? And not everything, but start selling, and that's where I'm going to be being real careful to make sure I'm guiding you guys with our crypto Bollinger Bands and our sell blocks, and then also other signals that I've come to know and love. Let's see, Q4 could serve as bullish catalyst for crypto. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, anything's possible, a lot of pontification, and ignore most of it. So I'll absorb all of it, but ignore most of it and make my own decision. Part 25 years of doing this, looking at charts and spidey sense, but we'll see. Bitcoin bull market may be weeks away. So this is my fear, you guys. I'm just going to be honest. My greatest fear is all of our hopes are at all-time high. We have all this invested, and we're all kind of uncertain. We're like, yeah, I'm gonna sell out. I may, in October, but you know what? We have to be open to the fact that this thing could just blow off and be done sooner than we thought, or I'm okay. I'm okay with that if we get a second pump. I've been saying for 2 years, I sort of envision a double peak. But that you can't rely on that. But this study does not mean it's going to happen. But if we pushed up in here, according to this, according to this, time-wise, we're already late. So I have to keep moving the goalpost out for this to be correct. If we were to get over this 150K, that puts us in about October. It just depends on when it happens. And this may be completely wrong. I'm just looking at timelines, though. For us, see, the price, this pattern here, these blue bars came from the last cycle. And I've stretched it because it's a logarithmic chart. But whereas we were looking at this happening, the price, if that happened, we violated this trend line. And to be honest, we are kind of looking at like this now. And if that's the case, that would sort of signify a much more drawn out peak. That puts us in March of 26, maybe hitting it twice, hitting it in Feb of 26. So this is why I'm open to that idea. And if we were to push up to 170K, let's call it 150K with the potential of a throwover, looking at October, around October 20th. This is a weekly chart, so it could be in that week time frame. So anywhere between mid-October to November. So if we see that, we want to be taking profits based on those things I told you guys, especially on an unnatural pump. And then hopefully we get a pullback because we're mostly in cash. And, and maybe then we put in a fourth and final angle. There's no reason to say that this doesn't happen, and so we just have to be open to all these possibilities. But, and most of all, that this fractal doesn't need to be exact. Camel calls them the fractals of TA, the crayons of TA. I think that's great. But they have some correlation sometimes, and it's worth paying attention to, just not following blindly. All right, point made. Okay, but if that happens, we could possibly see this. Now, for sure, we will have serious resistance at 200K. What happened at 100K? When were we sure we would hit 100,000? Last cycle, we were all saying, doing the math, Mike and I, everyone, 100,000, and in hindsight, kicking myself in the back of the head, but it happens. So you guys, 200K will for sure, these big round numbers. If we get lucky enough to hit 200K, I would sell 95% of everything, or at least Bitcoin. Is it possible we then have a pullback? I have a study that shows we could go to 245K, and look, could have, but based on my math and metrics of the last cycle, if we go to 245K, if that's the high, then it also projects the next bear market low. And you guys have seen that study. I have it over on TradingView. But for now, the saying, if you can't see how to get there, you go as far as you can see. And from there, hopefully you can see farther. And we just keep doing that. All right, so anyway, but we still are sort of on track for this happening, and what we really got to see is start pushing higher. We could still, I think we still hit 150K, potentially a throwover, right? If we then pulled back and found support here and bought that support and rode it up in here, that's my, I don't want to say my base case, that's my optimal case. That's the ideal scenario. All right, so, but doesn't mean that's going to happen. What is this person saying? Bull market top weeks away. How many weeks is that? 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks? All of these headlines, by the way, are designed to do one thing, to get clicks and sell advertising so that Cointelegraph can pay their staff and make money. So we always read between the lines with these things. All right, what is this saying? Predicting top, increasingly heated, I believe. 124 remain intact to the next cycle. No, I think we at least get to the 135 based on the bull market measured move, but we're not done yet. This isn't over, you guys. None of our top signals are flagging. Bull divergence weekly. I'm not going to read into this. This is just noise. Lots of different noise makers out there, so we have to be vigilant and not letting them dissuade us. Max intersect SMA model. Okay, so I've actually done this study, and okay, that's interesting. We'll have to pull this up. So basically, what this says, and I'll pull up my version of it because I've recreated it. And actually, you know what? Mine's going to be easier to read. So let me do this. I think even though I'm jumping around, this is good to unpack this. We are at Sherlock Holmes time, and weekly. Yep, this is it. So this is the same study, and so it's not original to those guys. It's nothing new. Essentially, what it says. Let me just get to the end here. Yeah, we're nowhere near the top. They have fudged theirs. So what this says, we'll go all the way back to 2013. The horizontal line from a prior top, when the 200 SMA, the blue line, pretty standard, simple moving average. Some of this is, what is it? It's on the tip of my tongue. You know, it's when everybody kind of goes along with it, self-fulfilling. You're right, self-fulfilling prophecy. Anyway, so when the 200 SMA intersects the former top, let's go ahead to the next one. See the 200 SMA going above where the prior top is? Generally, that is where the current top is. Do you see that? So horizontally, this was the former top, and it intersects the current SMA. If you go straight up, that was the top in 2013. So if we go over to the right and it intersects the SMA and goes up, there's the top of 2017. Interesting, right? Let's keep going. And if we go from the 2017 high over to the 200 SMA, this isn't exact. It almost touches it, but these don't have to be exact. But sure enough, look at that. Straight up, the high of the 2021. It was delayed by a few days. Close enough. Close enough for government work, as my dad used to say. So what does that tell us? So where is the top? Has the 200 SMA crossed the former top? It has not. And, you know, at this current trajectory, you know, it puts us out into May of 26. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. If we need a price pump, though, for this to remain valid. Doesn't mean it does, but to have this kind of a move would be pretty difficult. And even that puts us, so the December 2025 top is in question here, frankly, because for the SMA to go up, has it ever gone up like that? It has here, okay, but we would need to see, so this is kind of bullish, you know, more than kind of bullish. So let's say, and we're fudging this for sure, but let's just say that we see this kind of a thing from the current price, that would, without even looking at this, okay, otherwise, that could cause the SMA to do this kind of a vertical move right there and cross in this area. Okay, if we're sort of targeting December of 2025, we would need that kind of a move, right, on that SMA. And I don't even want to use this red line. Let's just draw it because, hey, maybe we can force it into being and sort of manifest this. I'm just kidding, you guys. I'm not going to get into anything like that. Probably something to it. I've used some of that in the past. But anyway, point is, if we wanted to see this, right? I know you guys are already one step ahead of me, but let's just do it anyway and make that blue, and we'll trick our subconscious into making that happen. How about that? Because certainly we would love to see that happen. Yes? Anybody? And look, you know, maybe we can make it happen. So there we go. I want to do as close as possible because oops, just messing around. I'm messing around with this too much now. What I need to do is, sorry guys, make it a 4-point thick. There we go. Now, so we can see that and then kind of see this come in. Now the top with that would be, you know, who knows? It's it would maybe something like this. But we've seen this move before, and that same move on a well, all right, we're not going to 400,000. Yeah, so this has to be tempered here. I'd say maybe let's use that 246,000 mark, because I'm still hopeful that happens. Guys, if we hit 245,000 as the top, you guys owe me a steak dinner at Sizzler, okay? Because I reverse engineered that stuff, and then if we then pull back to, do you remember where I said the next bear market low would be based on the last cycle correction from the top? The top to bottom here was not a Fibonacci retracement. It was pi. No one else is. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. It's just very interesting, though, I would say. We discovered that just messing around. So anyway, let me leave that on there. That is that study that I just shared with you. And we will go over to it. Is this boring, guys, or is this interesting? So this is that same study they've created. Now, but the problem is, it would appear, I can't zoom in on that too much. It would appear that theirs is almost crossing, and clearly it isn't. So I'm just looking if they have some other kind of a, it's sort of vague. Ours is close. I don't want to spend more time on it, you guys. Ours is close, but not as close as theirs. So there's something is wrong. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. I trust what I see, and we'll go with that. So that's on the radar. We're going to keep watching that. All right. So let's keep going. Cointelegraph, blah blah blah. 160 golden cross on the moving average. Now some people are saying there's a golden cross. Problem with golden crosses, Neth crosses, that they're scary and exciting, but usually that's after the move has happened. They're lagging indicators. So don't get caught up in golden crosses and death crosses. Binance showing signs of large volume buying. Let's see, hinting at a Bitcoin supply squeeze and potential boost bulls. Based on what? Question everything, you guys. Question everything. And that's when you know you've really come along. Don't believe the news. Not to sound like a fake news, but 80%, and I have people in media, 80 to 85% of all news is placed, meaning it's paid for as an advertorial, or there's a PR company that was paid to call their friends at the news desk, say, hey, can you, or the owners, look, the owners of Cointelegraph, they're Russian, they're not regulated. Look, nothing against Russians. I don't want to get whacked by the Cointelegraph mafia, but you know, it's a for-profit business. Always remember that. So, and the truth is usually in the middle. All right, latest on-chain analysis by Crypto Quant Research concluded that a large buyer, that's interesting, may have been active this weekend, but that could also be Binance. But you know, who are the whales? The biggest whales are the exchanges. They own tons of crypto, especially CZ and Binance. All right, so anyway, I don't mean to sound too contrarian today, but we're kind of killing time getting into the FOMC. Anything moving, by the way? Let me just take a quick look. Sometimes these things are moving around like an hour at a time. And I'll do a quick scan. No, everything's down a little bit. Just de-risking. Nothing to be afraid of. Okay, so a spike often linked to positive news or sudden capital inflows. What is this? Binance Bitcoin Scarcity Index. Guys, they have all these on-chain metrics and things. There's a bazillion of them. And I'm telling you now, you don't need any of them. You're going to just make your head hurt. If you've got 100 million in Bitcoin, hire someone to learn and watch all this, okay? Otherwise, let's just read. Arab analysis short-term spikes index proceeds consolidate. This is just a lot of word salad. I'm sure it's probably somewhat worthy, but like I say it 100 times a year, you guys, show me the charts. I'll tell you the news. All of this. This is why you shouldn't get too overwhelmed with news, because it's all factored in the price. People vote with their wallets, whales, institutions, all of it. And the bigger players, you know, I submit, have whole floors full of quants and PhDs crunching the numbers, looking at on-chain metrics, so we see it in the data. You know, it's the caveat there is when we see overreactions to news and disasters and euphoria, the markets always overreact. But overall, they're efficient markets. So show me the charts. All right. So, you know, scarcity index, who cares? ETFs wipe out newly mined Bitcoin. One thing we should look at and just see where we are on terms of the ETF flows. These are a day delayed, but at least we'll have yesterday's and day before data. This is far side investors. So the last 2 days we saw nice inflows on ETFs all of last week from BlackRock. I mean, guys, look, success leaves clues. BlackRock buying, Fidelity buying. A little bit of sell pressure here. Who's that one? Bitwise. Yeah, that's, you know, no biggie. They're probably buying ETH. And then everyone else, who cares, right? BlackRock, Fidelity, right? So we can monitor that on the ETF flows for Bitcoin and Ethereum. They already have it up here for Solana, even though Solana hasn't been approved yet. Guys, the Solana bid is going to happen soon, getting ahead of the likely ETF by the end of the year. So we're going to want to watch that. ETF flows, kind of modded. BlackRock, big buyer yesterday, or sorry, Friday, Monday. You know, a little bit of de-risking ahead of FOMC. Sorry, little mumble there, stumble. So ahead of FOMC, not much going on there. Nothing for Solana. There's just this obscure ETF, but some we can't wait to have Solana ETFs showing up here because I'm a big Solana bull, as you guys know. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Bitcoin miner accumulation, don't care really about that, only because we're limited on time. Spot ETF net flows. This is in Glassnode, you know, kind of visualizing what I just showed you. Net inflows coming in, and you know, so that's good. These guys aren't going to be buying the top, so most likely. I think that covers it. Let's keep moving. All right, the more of these click off, I want to get to the charts. How we do it on time? We're coming up on an hour, and hopefully you guys are still interested in the news here. You know, there's, in terms of the charts, there's not a lot happening. I don't have any urgent buy or sells. I'll put that in the M3 Active Trader chat. If you are watching this on a replay somewhere, you can learn more about these live classes at moonstream.io/M3 and can watch them live. Bitcoin tapping 117K. We covered that, why that's important. Big sell block there. And look at it. Fed interest rate cuts are 100%. I mean, they're 90%, but that's 100%. I mean, that anytime it's over 85%, it's always, that's where, you know, I've never seen it not do that. So the point is, big nothing burger. We already looked at this. It's already priced in. And Powell's comments. What is this chart here? Bitcoin risk index. That's a new one. And the range lows, the lifeline support. You know, death by 1,000 paper cuts. We have too much news and charts already. We don't need all of this. And as I said, this is saying Bitcoin must flip 118K. It's actually 117,700 to be exact, and we already covered that. But so, but yeah, 118K. Hold above it, and all-time highs are next, guys. Support, resistance. Nice little chart here, exactly as we already went over. And it's kind of a cup and handle pattern. You know, it's a little handle, nice big cup. But if we were to do that. This is on the 4-hour. We could recreate a cup and handle measured move, and that would be, say, just eyeballing it, 106. That's about 11,000, right? If we were to add this range, so let's see, 107,000 to the handle. So $10,000, a break above that would put us to $127,000 Bitcoin. And from there, it's a stone's throw to 135K. Why 135K, you ask? I'm glad you asked, because we've already done the bull flag breakout measured move. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but these have been pretty good. And the bull flag here, let me turn off that Bollinger Band, make that a little more clear for you guys. And we can see, so flagpole was the swing low candle body to the top, and then you had the flag. Now this is where it's a bit tricky though. Yeah. Because this is kind of a skinny flag here, and I'm wondering, I don't know, is this the flag? This is, but that is possible, and if that were the case, maybe this is third confluence to 150K. Guys, now I'm excited. I want to see, because otherwise, let me just see. This is all speculation, so let me get rid of that. You ready for it? Let's see. If that's the flagpole and we have a breakout here. Now, conservatively, you do it from the bottom, but generally a flagpole breakout is from here. And that would put us, guys, look at that, a third confluence to 150K. Yes, dramatic pause. We have 3 now. Okay, we have to be paying attention. This prior bull flag all the way back here, big. Now, technically, that's a really big bull flag. Does it mean? But and I drew the conservative target where 150K. Let's just see. We've got 3 of these kind of showing the same area. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but confluence. I love confluence. And then so there's that bull flag. Okay, and we'll just move it in that range. The other bull flag would be this one. See that flagpole there, and the swing low from that one to there. I know this is a lot of lines, you guys, but this is worth doing. And then we already did that. Okay, so I thought we had done that, and it was right around 150K. It's all in this region, you guys. It doesn't have to be exact. There are zones. And I reserve the right to be wrong, but look, all of these pointing toward a likely target zone. Don't get hung up on exact prices. Target zone for Bitcoin in 150K. What does that also line up with? My case study for 150K Bitcoin. Where is it? Over here. I think we'll get to 150K Bitcoin. Yeah. All right, so who's with me? You guys in? Let me just label that real quick. How many of you guys would be happy with that? Okay, this is audience participation time. Anybody out there? You guys are just beaten down by this bear market. I get it. All right, so this is all interesting and worth noting. Each flagpole is shorter than the previous, so with the last flagpole, it wouldn't be need to be shorter, Dan. It's measured by the flagpole, the measured move on the breakout. The question and the nuance is, do you draw it from the breakout of the flag? And I've seen it work both ways. Because back here, if we were to say, I'll just open this up. If we were to say technically on the big one here, the breakout should technically be from here, and that would put us up around 178K. But I was being conservative and doing it from down here, which puts us exactly at 150K. And then this flagpole breakout, just shy of 150K. And then, but this recent one right up to 150K. So to me, this 150K region is likely. And from there, pull back probably for a while. I don't know, time-wise. We just this is where we go as far as we can see, and then from there we wait to see farther. What does that mean? That means we wait for our indicators to come down. The problem with where we are right now, though, is that we're overbought and starting to roll over. But the thing is, don't read into that. We can stay overbought for extended periods of time on the daily in a bull phase, right? So we can see this, and that's so where we want to really look is on the weekly. And these are all nuances you'll pick up, you will. Now, weekly is the cruise ship. That's the momentum. We have bullish divergence on the weekly on Bitcoin. So that's in our favor. What does that mean? How do you read this when the daily is overbought and the weekly is looking good? It just means we could pull back for a few days on the daily, maybe find support here and then blast off. But weekly already turning up here on that trend strength indicator, and we will put on the ERI Pro briefly. The weekly chart looks pretty good. We just have to get through this FOMC, and so I think we're in good shape. But let's see what the comments are. Maybe there's some scary comments from the Fed. Markets overreact as they always do. But we really need to see here. Here's that $117,000, $118,000 level. I'm putting another alert there because crossing up there on a closing basis is bullish. Buy zone breakout. And just make it 118K, a little bit below that. We can round it up to 118K. I'm okay with that. Make it happen in January. I'll do my best, Arvind. Well, I think December, like I remember the last cycle distinctly. We were pushing hard, our selling the Moonstream newsletter. We had a huge promotion on that. My call for the newsletter on December 1st was Thorchain Rune, and I know, but it was up 159% by the third week in December, and we were pounding the table, guys. You're missing out. Our December pick is flying. And we had all these people that bought, and then the market crashed. So I think you know, our October, November is when we're going to really need to be looking for the majority of the gains. But look, if we correct in December, and you know, and I was going to say something else about taxes, just, you know, but I won't get into it. But then if we get a correction in December, that kind of sets us up for that secondary push in January, February, March. But we just really don't know. I can't, that's too far out. Yeah, Nicole, I'm very happy as long as we're long. Sounds like a good start, you guys. All right, so let's keep going, you guys. What else? Anything else in the news here? We have this ETH or ETF inflows. I already showed that. I've covered that for you guys. The rise of ETH or ETFs. All right, so, you know, it's only a matter of time, by the way. It's actually already happening. So Tom Lee, the founder of Fundstrat, is the largest owner of ETH and doing the Michael Saylor strategic reserve strategy on Ethereum. We'll see if he's right, but Solana will have the same. There's already somebody positioning to do that, Solana reserve, and then there's that ETF. So, you know, I think that will be fun to get in front of. We've already shown my targets on Solana, 260, 280. Probably that'll be a pullback range, and then but I love trading Solana. It's great trading coin. Spot Bitcoin ETF see net outflows on 6th. No, that's not true. What's the date of this? Always check the date of the article too, you guys. Let's see. This is talking about August. So this is old news. Okay? We don't want old news. Last article. Meet the Ethereum Polkadot co-founder who wasn't in Time Magazine. Who was it? I want to say Gavin Wood, but here, Gavin Wood. Oh, it's not Gavin Wood. Yeah, so there's another guy. Gavin Wood co-founded Ethereum originally. He was one of the partners. There's actually two partners. There's Vitalik, and there's another guy who's kind of behind the scenes. Gavin Wood was on board. He left to start Polkadot. And let's see. What are they talking about? Vitalik. Gavin Wood's contributions right there. Buterin never shied away over that, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything important here is what I'm getting at. And well, the reason I'm diving into this is I like Polkadot, and it's starting to look good to me. And this is just kind of talking about nonsense, so we're not going to go down that road. You guys want to see this AI commercial for I'm just going to play this real quick. I don't know if you can hear it, though. Let's see. I did this all with AI last night with pictures. Let me play this for you.
Hey, crypto investors. I'm Brett, co-founder of Moonstream.
Can you hear that, you guys? I probably can't hear that, though. Anyway,
Join us for
I'll send you guys the link. AI is amazing.
It's way nicer than your cousin's couch.
The AI looks way better than me. I have to use that more often. But this is the actual place. I've been on this rooftop. These are from pictures, and the AI has animated it, and with a picture of me and the picture of the background,
Check your Bitcoin and crypto prices.
has created all of this.
Awkward hotel seminar with cold bagels and a guru in a shiny suit.
So, yeah, it's faint. I wonder. I mean, look, I'll send this out to you guys. If you have nothing else, watch it. This is the future, everybody. You know, I won't even have to leave my chair to create videos anymore. So this is the latest and greatest of AI I'm learning. And this, but yeah, we're going to have meals out here. Hopefully you guys I know it's not for everybody. It's in Tulum, Mexico. It's kind of far. I get it. We will do these hopefully in other parts of the world. Get together and do events. So this is kind of the inaugural one. And anyway, I won't spend all our time with this. But look, watch this. It has me jump in the pool. Unbelievable, right? I'll send that out to you guys. All right. Most of you are like, who cares? But here, so look, these are the pictures. I just put these pictures in and pictures of me, and it created a video. It's amazing. Unbelievable. All right. Humans no longer needed. Except if we're gone, there's no one to buy anything. And that's kind of a scary thought. What happens if the humans go away? There's kind of no reason for the machines to exist either. All right. On a lighter note, we're done with the news. And I'll put the link in to the mastermind. If you don't know what that means, it's a Napoleon Hill kind of term. It's a networking summit, and often when I go to these, I'm staying at that villa another week for an AI summit, right? But specifically at ours, we'll be doing some one-on-one, finding out what your biggest challenge is, and doing some hot seats. So you might say, hey, my biggest challenge is this, and we'll be meeting in around this round room here, and I'll have a big screen TV, and we'll be just kind of sharing some things. Max Wright will be there. We have other guests, and some new technology from Joe, and he's going to remote in, and some other stuff. Some other strategies, including bear market strategies. KS, machines need to learn on the greedy mercantilism algorithm and available historical data sets. Yeah, it's above my pay grade there. Yeah. Well, so I know we're going down a rabbit hole, but this is kind of an important thought that I'll attach and anchor to where we are now in crypto. I met a guy who was about 4 or 5 years ago. Has one of the highest IQs on record. I think it's 179, give or take. But he had this analogy of, remember when, well, not remember when, but you're in the history books, when we had cars and everybody suddenly bought cars and there was no need for the horses anymore. And the question is, what happened to all the horses? And the analogy is, we are the horses. So, becoming AI enhanced may be both, the near term would be sort of how do we survive as humans, but it may be heading toward hybrid. They're already putting chips in. I'm glad I'm already toward the later stages in life. I don't know if I want to be around for humanoids. As long as I have a robot to take care of me when I'm 80, that's all I need. I didn't have any kids for various reasons. One of which, kind of a crazy world out there. All right, you guys, let's get into the charts. Any questions? I am here for you. Let's jump through everything. I want to look at total market cap, but a lot of this is just me talking to a wall essentially and doing the best I can. But total market cap here, we have resistance, clear as day. Does anybody else have these sell blocks? Not that I know of. There's someone else has one. We're coming out with a new version of the sell block, by the way. And I hesitate to go down this road. I'm going to share that later, but if you're familiar at all with these, instead of candlesticks, there's something called a volume footprint. And it shows how much volume within each candlestick is there. And there's some nuances to that. But I suggest, can we do something similar for the sell blocks, showing and breaking those up where the majority of the volume is, signifying, because one of the questions we have is, if we come into a sell block, does it reject at the bottom? Does it go to the midpoint? Often it's the midpoint. Sometimes it's the top. It would be useful to know where, wouldn't it? We're playing around with using volume footprint on the order blocks, and that's never been done before. So anyway, for now, what do we have? We have price discovery up here. Probably consolidate. I have this, my squiggly lines are often prophetic. It's prophetic, not pathetic. And earned me the nickname Cryptodamus a while back. And anyway, but yeah, I think we'd pull back here and then go break through this, retest, and go again. And in timeline, the timeline is not accurate. My squiggle was a little lazy. This is kind of a lazy eye squiggle. It'll probably be up here into October, November, like we've been talking about. So that's total market cap. have some resistance overhead, so I wouldn't expect rocketing higher anytime soon. Brief pullback, maybe total market cap 2, excluding Bitcoin. This is helpful because, let me just check something. Yeah, we don't have a sell block here. So this is everything excluding Bitcoin, and which would indicate Bitcoin is the sell pressure. ETH maybe has lifted the foot off the brake. Still, though, I would want to see or expect to see a pullback into these buy zones. I'm going to put an alert here on the total 2 crossing down 1.55 trillion as a possible buy alert. Everyone with me? Kind of aggregate buy alert, buy zone, buy block, whatever you want to call it. Buy block zone. You can call it pancakes if you want. I don't care. All right. So total 3. Total 3 similarly is not showing that resistance. So let's talk about this for a second. Breakouts usually happen on the 3rd or 5th attempt. We had so prior, it's a little confusing. The last cycle high on total 3 was here. We pushed up a little above it here, retested the 21 high there, but technically we are at 2 attempts at the breakout. Maybe we get this one on the 3rd, hopefully not having to wait for the 5th. Not sure what I was trying to draw here. It's Chinese to me too. Let's redo these. But I had this drawn that we'd push up kind of like that, pull back, maybe test again, bigger drop and go. I don't think this is right though. That someone else is calling for a bigger drop. I'm just going to clear my mind of other people's, get the old spidey sense fired up here, because you know we've got buy support down in this region, and probably 3rd attempt may go, and then that's scenario 1. And I'm judging it based on how close these support zones are. And I'm going to change that back to orange, because that's what we usually use. All right. And so scenario 2, and this is what we do. We draw multiple scenarios and then invalidate the ones that don't really pan out. Is it possible there's a 3rd scenario? Always a possibility. So if we go deeper, and then we've got some issues, because I don't want to see it break the 50-day exponential moving average. If we go to a weekly, you know, no real clues there, but it's building support on a weekly on total 3. So this is a clue for alt season, right? Potential clue for alt season, because if Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't going, what by default, what's happening? We are rotating. I guess I closed that path to alt season. Does everyone understand this? It is what happened in the past, and to some degree we'll expect this season. Everyone have this? Drop it in the chat. You can Google it. The path to alt season. All right, so we are sort of getting into this range. So if large caps are done, if Bitcoin and Ethereum are done, money is flowing into large caps. Solana, Polkadot, Chainlink hasn't impressed me at all this cycle. And then from there, this is October, November, we see some altcoin season. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And alt season really depends on people making a lot of stupid crypto money on the other coins going higher and essentially taking profits. If everyone gets blindsided by a major catastrophic meteor, or maybe this 3i Atlas comet does turn out to be an alien ship, now there's a new one, even bigger one, heading right towards 3i AI Atlas. So good timing. And so anyway, it's all probably all bullshit, but check that out. It's interesting. Two interstellar probes. One is 7 miles long, and both of them are heading on a trajectory to go back behind the sun and maybe collide with each other. Who knows? Or land on Mars. And so anyway, guys, this is how I unwind at the end of the day. I'm not being serious, but actually some scientists are saying, hey, this is not normal. And Harvard scientists Avi Loeb saying this could be an interstellar intelligence. So how about that? All right, you guys, let's see. I know we're going long on time. Let me just kind of get through all this. I'm going to go fast. Specifically, though, if we see a scary reaction scary to the FOMC comments or rate cuts. It would be good to have some cash right now to buy any dips into these ranges on an overcorrection. So I'm going to put an alert here right at 1.02 trillion. And oftentimes these are my best trades ever when we have some uncertainty coming and we position with a buy limit order and have it on the books, because often these things wick down, get filled, and bounce. I love these. Like this isn't a coin, but like this kind of a scenario. And I remember with Solana, many times that we'd have a bleed out on the weekend, and I was sure it would continue into Monday. So I'd put buy limit orders in the buy blocks, and then boom, overnight we'd get filled, and the next day we'd already be in profits. Guys, I can't wait for you to have experienced that someday, because that's when your trading really becomes fun. You rewire your neurons for those scenarios, because here's the thing: the best traders know when to stay out of the market and do nothing. And amateurs, and look, I've been there, will try to say, well, I've got an hour free, let me go try and make some money. And you can only take what the market gives you. That's why I was a terrible day trader. I had a retail store right out of college, selling pet supplies, terrible business. Somehow they made it work online. It's low margins. Anyway, point is, half the time nobody would come in. I learned how to swing trade. Very good at swing trading. Day trading, I read about this guy in the Washington Post, young guy making millions of dollars, said, that's what I want to do. Found out where he was, opened an account, had grown an account from 3,000 to 30 to 65,000, and moved over to the day trading floor, and I very quickly turned that 65,000 into 6. Yeah, that's the wrong way. A different animal. But and the point is, part of the reason is I would race over there at lunchtime, and while my staff was covering. And the point is, that's the worst time to trade. That's the dead zone. And so these are all lessons I'm hoping to shortcut for you. You don't try to squeeze in your make money time when it's convenient for you. We want to kind of position around these likely inflection points. Anyway, not always easy, but where is the next one coming? When we break above these levels of resistance and we're in price discovery zone, October and November, be ready, you guys. Be ready. Okay, enough of that. I'm not here to preach, just trying to prepare everybody mentally, spiritually, emotionally for all of that. So Bitcoin, however, and this is the chart I created yesterday with a client. Here's the, here's basically the targets. We already looked at 150. And this is, but 135 also could be, this I had at 135 as, this is when that was the bull flag breakout. The problem is now it's sort of anemic, and I'm having to fudge factor this thing. And we already looked at that. So I'll leave that line off as a who knows. But this kind of pattern pushing up, these blue lines are from back in here. We could see that kind of a move. But we need to break above. Again, there's that 117K level. We're in a support zone down here. If we push down, I would want to see $114,000 hold. If we break 114,000 on a closing basis, then 112 is next. And then if we lose 112, probably going down to 106. Not a good thing, not a bad thing, just a thing. Trade position accordingly and not become emotional about this. Easier said than done, though, isn't it? So this is our Bitcoin map. And right now we just don't know. We have to wait and see. I'll be letting you know if we break above 118K or 117.5 and we close there. Okay, I'll be saying, guys, it looks like it's time to get in, ride this next pump. But we do have this sell pressure overhead. That tells me the money is mostly flowing into alts, ETH, Sol, the rest of it. So we need Bitcoin. I need to go put on my Make Bitcoin Great Again hat. It's around here somewhere. You get all kinds of weird things and fun things at the Bitcoin conference, which, hopefully you guys will go next year. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be in Vegas again. Highly recommend you go. All right, let's see what else. So basically, and in our model portfolio, those of you that are in private client work on coaching, the new model portfolio, I have stop losses and take profit levels in there, and I have the ability to push a button and send it out to all of you guys by email with the real-time updates. Okay, so let's see. Ethereum, what's going on with ETH? It's in a buy block. I would consider buying some ETH here, except, right, my backup is, but this, and this is a new term, you guys, I haven't talked to you guys about, and I'm calling it the stop sign, because if everything else looks good, and maybe there's a stop sign emoji in here, but if everything else looks good, but our TSI is red and going lower, that's an immediate stop sign, and we don't have a trading view emoji for that. I wonder if there's one on the interwebs, but I'm going to do it just because of a visual. I want you guys to make your decisions on coins and then look to invalidate it. And I do that a lot, you know, so that's how you stay out of trouble. If you're just letting emotion reign, here we go. I found a stop sign emoji. Here, let me see if this works. Didn't work. I think it puts it on the chart. That's the problem. Do I have a stop sign? I'm copying it on my other screen. Oh, here we go. Yeah, but I can't do it. I'm trying to put it down here. All right. Okay, never mind. Not important. But just understand, when the trend strength indicator is red and below 80, it's not that it can't reverse, but generally that's headed lower, and we want to wait for it to turn green in the absence of other bullish signals. Okay, and do we have, now going back to our trade success checklist, is anything green here? Do we have an ERI on this? We do not. This is how you'll stay out of trouble in this next phase. Now we have 5 days of pullback. Now that is bullish, but so ideally though, you'd set a buy limit order at 43.80. Maybe call it 4,400 right there, because any sort of overreaction drop, this is going to get bought up here in this buy zone, and I think would go higher. This is another thing to pay attention to. When you have 3, 4, 5, 6 green candles, you should be ready for some profit taking. Back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, brief pause 6. Well, naturally we had a sell-off, so we've had the sell-off. We should be ready. ETH is a good position to start accumulating again. I would put a buy limit order of 4,400 and 43.80, and then one down here of 42.25 down here. If we get an emotional spike and that rebounds back up, you could get some nice fills on Ethereum right there. So that's all I have to say about that. Like Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that. All right, chat's disappeared. I don't know if there's any more. Let's see, there's one more chat. Ray, yes, that's right. Bouncing on thin ice. Okay. Sure. All right, Solana, let's get through the rest of these. How are we doing on time, you guys? I want to keep this to 90 minutes, so we're coming up on 90 minutes, so time flies when you're having fun. Okay, Solana, coming down here, it's in a buy zone. I think Solana is a good spot here to be buying and accumulating, but okay, what do we see? Do we have any stop signs? Not quite, but I have an alert. Crossing down 80 would be a sign to sell, but Solana is pretty strong. I think, as money, this is where we want to get ahead of the thing. Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player of all time, arguably, said, "I don't skate where the puck is, I skate where it's going to be." We used to have a Wayne Gretzky emoji, and we'd put him over on the chart where we thought the charts would be. I gotta find that. It was fun. But what I think for Solana, I think this is a good buy spot. I think it pushes up to 260. And then we have some retracement, maybe 270. Certainly I would be selling around 280. We can see that on that weekly chart more carefully. So we've got 260 here. Prior top breakouts happen third or fifth attempt. I would sell half my Solana. I will sell half at 260. I already have my limit sell orders at 260 and 280. Why 280? Prior top, it got up to 300 briefly when that Trump meme coin came out, but on a daily time frame, that's the midpoint of the bigger sell block. Guys, take profits. All of you guys that affirmed to me in the private chat, I will take profits this bull cycle. I'm holding you to it. Nicola says, should we wait to see what happens in the market when FOMC is out? Yes, exactly. Yeah, I would wait for that, and preferably by end of day. But I think if you're comfortable with it, I would have buy limit orders in on ETH, like I just described, Solana right in this range, and you could put buy limit orders at 225. Why 225? There's rising support here. Prior resistance flipped as support. The buy block, though, I would be surprised if it got below 228. I'm just holding my Solana because Solana is a rocket ship. You don't want to miss the rocket. We did that in 2021. Solana, I recommended at 35. Actually, it was trading at $37. And on August 1st, 2021, you can verify this in the Moonstream newsletter. I said our pick is Solana. It should pull back to 35. So put a buy limit order at 35. It did. And we nailed that. It started heading higher. The mistake we made is we took too much profits too early, waiting for a pullback. And that was that hot narrative, 50,000 transactions per second, blah, blah, blah. And then it went up 657%. I missed a fair amount of that, and I kick myself. So with these, that's why we take partial profits. Always hold a moon bag. I think Solana can still go to 5 to 700 this cycle, but we want to be selling into these zones and buying back into strength when our indicators tell us it's safe. Got it? It's not that hard, you guys. Pendle also looking good for recovery here. I think once the news is out, I can't foresee any major sell-offs. We're just kind of hanging out, volume's low. And, probably you'll see this kind of move here. Pendle, I've been accumulating. I still like it. I've given you my take profit levels in the prior classes, $7, $10, $16, and $20. This bull cycle, we'll see what happens, but we'll be taking profits along the way. Similarly, Ondo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days down. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days up. Where do you think you might want to buy some Ondo? I would put buy orders right at $1, maybe get ahead of it. $1 would be a good place to flip. You could put some buy orders at 98 cents, but why? Just, you could, $1 is a nice round number. If you have 1,000 Ondo and it goes to 100 in the next 5 years, are you happy? I would say keep 100. Keep 1,000 Ondo no matter what. Buy a few thousand at $1 and sell some, take your initial investment out and then let it ride. Similarly, our long-term holdings, let's see, since I might put this on the YouTube, I'm not going to go through all these. Nothing's really changed on these. You guys know the story with those. Sui and Say, kind of trying to sort of break out, but not really sure and not there yet. So, we're watching those. These are in the transaction per second game, but they're not quite there yet, Aerodrome is looking fairly good, but it still has some work to do. I think we just need some strength to come back in these markets, and also we've got Immutable X as our probably only gaming play of this cycle. We'll see what happens. The others really aren't looking good. Love this chart, by the way. Burn these into your mind. These charts look great. So breaking out of long-term resistance here. We have this didn't quite get up to it. We could draw this a number of ways, actually, and that's fine. There's no real right or wrong on these. But essentially, Immutable X breaking out of long-term resistance and nice buy money flow block right there. So we've retested that a bit. I'd preferably like to see it pull back down and retest that more strongly and then go. But positioning, if you want to have some exposure to gaming, it looks like Immutable X is emerging as one of the stronger ones. Just keep in mind, these are all purely speculative. They don't have earnings. They don't really have a large user base. The real gaming companies are eating the whole world and AI and taking all top talent. So Gala, not looking good. I would just kind of focus on Immutable X. Polkadot, kind of interesting. We talked about Polkadot and Gavin Wood. And this kind of a breakout. So that same kind of pattern. Breakout, retest, right? See that? These are the charts I love. So Polkadot I really do like here. And I think this is probably more likely now. The high on this, it has 15x potential, you guys. If it goes to the old all-time highs, which is quite a bit higher if we go back to the last cycle. So when in doubt, zoom out, you guys. Keep that in mind. And I have on here, take out your initial investment. So this is a play that's suitably de-risked. If you buy down here on this breakout, whatever you put in, you could probably take that out up here, let the previous profits run, and let, you know, the old saying, let your profits run, and take some more profits up here around $7. But if you get it, let it go all the way back up here, take out your initial investment at $11. That would be a double. Okay, so maybe takes 20% here, 20% here, take some more out here, wait for a pullback. Timing wise, we're kind of getting into the questionable era of can it go higher, but I think Polkadot does do that in future cycles, and they're parachains, they're doing some cool things on the DeFi side of things. So, you know, worst case scenario, double your money, get out at $11 range, keep a moon bag, and if it goes here, that's a 10x. Okay, so, you know, look, not financial advice, educational purposes only, you guys get the idea, but this is positioning here, long-term support in this range, you guys, all the way since 2023. That's like 11 years ago in dog years, just kidding, crypto years. But all right, that's all I have for you guys. There's nothing more really we want to get into. Wait for FOMC. Don't panic sell or panic buy. These are usually knee-jerk reactions. Probably it's going to be a big nothing burger, quarter point rate cut. Great, but we already know that. The comments are what we don't know, and we need to wait and watch to see how the markets react to Powell's comments. So how the day closes is far more important than that knee-jerk reaction. Okay, so you know, there's a time and a place where we'll be hunting for pirate chain breakouts, you know, but now is not the time. And so we'll cover some more of the speculative degen coins tomorrow and Retire Rich. But for right now, for M3 Trader, you know, I'm not seeing too much here. I would just kind of stick to your guns. If you want to de-risk and get into some cash for buying pullbacks, I kind of covered these possibilities. Bitcoin certainly could drop, could go higher. That's the thing. To have some powder dry, not a bad thing. ETH looking good for a buy at those levels I told you, 4380, 4400. But the stop sign says it's going to go in lower. So I think you'd have to weigh that. I would say have some ETH here, maybe add some, but be ready to buy back lower in the 4225, 4440. Because that trend strength indicator is rolling over and showing the ideal time to buy ETH when it's oversold and turning green above 20. You can see I have that alert crossing up over 20. Was that a good time to buy ETH? That was right in here. It sure was. So, well, define higher, I'm going to call out. We've covered that pretty clearly. So I would watch the replay, and specifically Bitcoin, I would buy above 117,500. It has to clear the sell zone. If it pushes up and touches 117,500, but at the end of the day, if it does this, if it has a red candle and fails to hold above here, that would be an invalidation and a sign that's more likely to go lower. Okay. So and what we have to be careful of, we're getting a red TSI here, which is not below 80 yet, but hopefully you guys are getting it. These are the clues. Like, I'm not trying to confuse everybody. These are, I've put my 10,000 hours in since January 2021 easily, and before that easily 10,000 hours. So I know these patterns. The triggers are breaking down below 80 for bearish continuation. The trend strength indicator, it's a momentum indicator. Okay, so it makes sense to de-risk at these levels and then buy on the green coming up above 20. You see, I have these alerts crossing up 20, crossing down 80. It takes the emotion out of it, but we can stay overbought for a while. That's why the red thing doesn't bother me necessarily, but price action, you got to clear out these sellers. I think that, you know, Bitcoin, here's what we should do though, actually. Bitcoin dominance, let me just take a quick look at the any CME gaps, nothing there. Bitcoin dominance, we're running a bit long on all this, but Bitcoin dominance, you know, it's been pushing lower. That means on a percentage basis, money is flowing into other things. and there's no real support on I think Bitcoin dominance continues to roll over. Doesn't mean Bitcoin price goes down, but it means the majority of money is flowing into other things. And we're just not really seeing a whole lot of that. I guess you know what? I have some other studies open. Did I show you? Let's think, guys, I forgot to show you this. This is that other study that I made on the ranges where we could expect to see the end of the markets. In purple, we have all-time high breakout to breakout. We don't really need that. But based on these timelines, and these up here, time between all-time highs. So the 2013 high to the 2017 high was 49 months, 1,491 days. Okay, stay with me. And let me move this out of the way because this will be important in a minute. The next one from the 2017 high to the 2022 high, November of 21, was only 47 months, so it's shorter, 1,400 days. So where are we now? If we go from November 2021 and we use this fractal of 49 bars, 1,491 or 2 days, puts us over into Bitcoin all-time high in December. If we use this one of 1,400 days, slightly shorter, it gets us to October. Maybe we split it and we go to 48 months and it's in November, but we're running out of room on this bull run. Just be ready for that. This isn't going up forever. The hype cycle is beginning. You know, now they're calling for $1 billion Bitcoin. Anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to share real quick, we have to check that USDT dominance because that's another clue. And I get it. This is probably over. My phone's ringing. If you can hear that, over. Some people said, but let's just talk about this for a minute. All right, so tether dominance. I'll unpack this for you. I'll give you the cheat sheet. We are still in good shape. This is a danger zone where if money starts flowing into stable coins, we are headed toward a correction. These blues, this is what happened last time. I was concerned this was what we were going to have happen, but I am now think it's more like this, possibly even this. But because we're at this trend line, typically we see bounces on tether dominance. I wonder if we add. I wonder if we're gonna add. Is the ERI Pro useful at all? Oh, yikes. So look, our signals. This is inversely related. So if this goes up, crypto goes down. We had an ERI. Don't read into this. I'm going to move that out of the way. This is kind of useless here, actually. Both times, our ERI caught the bounce. I'm going to add in our trend strength indicator and Trend Pro, TSI Pro. Bear with me here. Okay. So we can see that our signals work on this, and when it gets above 20, and I have that alert on the weekly basis to sell, and we don't have it yet, but we're kind of, we touched upon it, and this is kind of the canary in the coal mine. I think we're fine for now, but at some point we're going to get in a little correction here, and hopefully it holds. This would coincide, this would be December of 25. So this is more evidence, anecdotal evidence that we will push here. I know doesn't fit timelines, but this is kind of my gut feeling. We'll push toward 150K into the end of the year, November-ish, December-ish, and then we'll correct. This actually shows that we would sort of end. Let me just, and it's not exact, but it's pretty close. Kind of September, October, and then November we start correcting into December. And then we retrace. Now this would indicate another bull phase into January, February, March, that potentially we get 200K Bitcoin, and then it's all over. And then we see this. Okay, so guys, this and when it comes, so I wouldn't take any major long vacations. We're going to be down and doing this real time at the Mastermind in Tulum. So if you want to bring your laptop and be some great kind of scalping and short-term money making opportunities there. But guys, that's all we have time for. I think we covered the bases. Scott, hey Scott. And if you missed any of this, watch the replay. I've got to go because these replays get real long and take forever to render. So. That's all I have, everyone. Thanks for being here. And hey, Doug. And if I haven't said hi to everybody, I think I covered Ronald, KS, Anita. And Anita, I think reach out to Myrene if you'd like some help with the TradingView setups and everything. Sam on our team can help you with that. If anyone is beginner and struggling with TradingView and indicators, I brought on one of my former students, Sam, to spend some one-on-one time with people. For basic setup, if you're already using them, probably don't need that, but Myrene can help with that. And hope to see some of you in Tulum, you guys. It's going to be fun. We're going to do two dinners down on the beaches. It's first of all, it's completely safe. They have their own brand new airport. In the old days, you'd have to fly into Cancun, drive hours down to the south. I opened a business in Cancun right out of college, photography business, and always an entrepreneur. It was a miserable failure because the investor bailed. We had a lot of fun, and but Playa del Carmen, I don't care for anymore. Cancun, I know, but Tulum is amazing. You're gonna love it for those that come out, and we'll be spending some real quality time together. And so, anyway, moonstream.io/mastermind. If you guys are in mentoring, remember tonight is our AMA with Max. Ask us anything. Come join us at 9 p.m. We've sent out the invites. And yeah, we're going to be talking about this a little bit more as well. All right, guys. Got to run. Let's see. Thanks, you guys. And yes, it does, Nicola. USDT.D. USDT.D. And if you would like it, we're running really long, but I will share this chart with you. It is shareable. If you guys want that, here's the link. It'll load in your trading view. And maybe what I'll do is I'll make a basket. Let me know if you'd want this of like the 10 links to the charts that I'm using here. If you want to play around with them, just don't publish them as your own because I will find you. And but for the time being, you can click on that and save it. And again, I use one tab to save all of these. So I can push a button right here on one tab. It'll save all these. And then later on, to reload all of these tabs, I just go into one tab and with the click of a mouse can load them. It's not loading very fast today, but you get the idea. Okay, you can just click on Restore All and it'll restore those for you. Okay, guys, that's it. Gotta go. Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow in Retire Rich. And I'll keep you updated as always. Bye.